sorry, got distracted. There's some, I guess my neighbors, four-wheelers that were approaching the property lines. I didn't know what they were doing, if they're gonna try to ride through. Anyway, I know some of you guys are wondering, what happened to us. Yeah, we just spent the last 2 years fighting in local government. It's been rough. I've been through a lot of tough stuff. This is probably the hardest thing we've ever gone through. I know it has been for me, but I'm not gonna get into too many details, but basically we trying to adopt one of the local three-letter agencies decided that they had a problem with that, so they stepped in, went rogue, broke the law. Everything you can think of that a government agency can do illegally and immorally, they did. So we spent the next 2 years fighting them in state court, county court. We went to federal court. We finally beat them. So it took 2 years, took a lot out of us. Our whole life came to a standstill. Everything I was doing in my personal life, on the property, stopped. So we lost 2 years of our life basically. But we're back. Figure you guys need to hear that, and people need to know you can fight the government and you can beat them. And in fact, it's typically why they get away with so much, especially at the state and local level. They don't fight back, and if more people did, these people would be less likely to abuse people's rights. So this is something that's been a topic of discussion again. We feel the need to remind people, because we see this happen every 4 years, especially with the last couple elections. And number one, you got to remember, a president's not going to save the country. No single person is going to save the country. We see this every 4 years, especially in the prepping community. People really get wrapped around the axle about who's going to be president. And sure, it matters, 100% it matters. But our problem is way worse than political. We don't have a political problem. The politicians are not the problem. They're just a symptom of the ego problem. The politicians we elect are a reflection of the culture and society, and our culture and society is decaying. This is why you're seeing the politicians get elected that are elected. And so with that in mind, yeah, it matters to our daily life who gets elected, but as far as actually fixing the country, doesn't matter who won this election. Trump's not going to fix the country, okay? That's something we all got to keep in mind, because I see the prepping community go through this cycle every 4 years, every 8 years. So back in 2016, people got relaxed. They kind of took their foot off the gas pedal. One of the big things we saw in 2016 was gun and ammo prices started trending downward, right? You guys remember pre-2020 ammo prices were amazing. And it's kind of a running joke right now in the gun industry that basically they were kind of hoping for a Kamala victory because it meant better profit margins. I'm sure I'm sure there's some truth to that. But what I saw post 2020 with different things that happened is people who, especially in the preparedness community, who should have known better and should have been better prepared, because they were lulled into this false sense of security due to the 2016 election. 2020 rolls around, and all the stuff that happened during 2020 happened, and a lot of people didn't have the gear, specifically tactical stuff. That's typically what you see go up and down the most during election seasons. But people who should have been better prepared were out scrambling buying stuff, and it's because they lost a sense of urgency and they just got complacent, and Trump's president. And so guys, you got to remember, when demand is down, that typically means prices are going down. That's the time you stock up. So we've talked about our concentric circles of prepping. It's really the best way to do this. And basically, you do 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, a year, et cetera, whatever you planned out. But it's to make sure that all your systems grow together, okay? So, we just had the election. Next year, new president. Right now is a good time, pen to paper, write out what you got. Basically, do a SWOT analysis, right? Look for your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities for improvement, threats, all that kind of stuff. And if you're looking and, hey, my guns and ammo is not where I want it to be, when you start to see prices decline and you start to see availability go up and the whole gun and tactical industry slows down, that's when you buy. And it's not just guns and ammo, obviously, but that's probably the best example for this. But with this election, all it means for us is we get hopefully 4 more years of peace, 4 more years of, if he's able to do what he did this first cycle, it'll be 4 more years of economic prosperity, good economy. This is the time where you start aggressively expanding your preps as much as you can. This is not the time where you say, hey, look, everything's going pretty good. You look around, and so you take your foot off the gas. Because remember, this stuff happens in cycles. Again, he's not going to save the country. Our culture is headed down the path that it's headed. And like I said, he's a reflection of the culture, and the politicians are a reflection of that. And so unless we implement a cultural change from within, the political stuff isn't going to save the country. So what's that mean for us? Well, we've moved on to a homestead. We're going to keep developing it. We are basically getting ready for the next big thing. It'd be really easy for us to just kind of hang out and cruise basically and enjoy the next 4 years, assuming everything goes smoothly. But then by the time things get turbulent again, you're kind of left scrambling with your pants around your ankles. And we don't want that, right? Remember how I opened up this video and how we just spent the last 2 years fighting our own government, local government, right, fighting for justice. And we put ourselves at great personal risk to do this, financially and legally. Remember, SHTF doesn't just mean economic collapse and natural disaster. You look at what happened in Canada with the truckers. You look at what happened in North Carolina. Sometimes SHTF is your own government moving against you. The forces of evil are never rest, right? Liberty is always under attack. That's something you've got to remember. The types of people doing this want ultimate control, so they're not going to just give up and go away. So it's really easy, especially right now with the election, to be all happy and hey, everything's going well. Look, guys, they're not going away, okay? Whether it's at a local level, like what we had to fight through, whether it's on a national level, like you've seen in the politics in the last 4 years. One thing to think about too is, especially for you guys that are planning on moving to a homestead and you've realized that that's the next big step in your prepping journey, start planning for that. Expect, like I said, if we can use his last presidency as a gauge to see how the economy is going to do under his second term, start preparing to start getting out of debt and preparing to make that move. If you've got your eyes set on like I said, buying homestead, start researching, where do I want to go? A lot of certain areas of the country are way cheaper than others. Okay, and I grew up moving around, so for me, moving not a really big deal. I know it's a bigger deal for some people, but that might be a sacrifice you have to make. And put yourself in a good financial position to where when the economy does turn and interest rates are better and the housing market starts picking up again, you have put yourself in a position to sell your property and to secure a good homestead property, right? Don't wait for the tides to turn, then to start planning. You got to think 2-3 steps ahead. And that's how we got this property is we living in the suburbs. This is back in 2020, 2021. We had already put ourselves in a decent position to make a move, realized things were changing, and we just went with it and sold the property a few years ahead of schedule. So with the economic prosperity that we hope is coming, use that opportunity to pay off debt. If you're going to make big financial moves, that's the time to do it. Where was I? Basically the gist of the message. Remember, yeah, elections are important. They affect our lives. But the politicians aren't going to save us. The problem of this country is much deeper than that. So don't get lulled in this false sense of security that you're going to see a lot of people get lulled into. Plan, try to think 2-3 steps ahead. I still think long term, we're going to have economic problems in the U.S., so definitely want to move to get yourself out of debt. I don't want to see any of you guys caught off guard, caught flat-footed. The next time things take a downturn. Stay safe, stay prepared.